Hello, RoahmMythril here once again, and it's time for a new project. But the question is, what project will it be? Well, that's going to be up to you. It's time for Let's Vote Round 2. So, the way this is going to work, I'm going to show previews of 8 projects I'll be doing on the channel. Afterwards, I'll be holding a vote to decide what comes next. I'll be doing all 8 of these projects. The vote will just determine the overall order I'll do them in. I may also sneak quick projects between them. We'll see how things go with that. But this will overall determine the order of these particular projects. At the moment, I am a little bit limited as to what I can record, since I still need to get a new capture card or device. And that's another purpose of this vote. I'll be hitting the research hard while the poll is going. One last thing to mention before anyone asks, there won't be any Mega Man projects on this list. This does not mean that I'm done with the series, far from it. I will definitely be doing more Mega Man stuff in the future, but with the last 2 major projects on the channel having been both the Make a Good Mega Man level contests, I really want to play some other things for a bit, get some variety going. That, and let's be honest, if I had anything Mega Man related on the list, we kinda know what would probably win. This way there's more surprise to it, and I honestly wonder how this will play out. I have my guesses as to what might win, but it'll be interesting to see if I was right or not. With that though, let's get to the previews. First on the list this time we have Castlevania Circle of the Moon for the Game Boy Advance. This, I believe, was Konami's first Castlevania for the GBA, or at the very least, it was one of the earliest GBA games I ever played, this and Metroid Fusion. It's kinda funny how that works out, actually. One of the first GBA games, as well as one of the first DS games I ever played, was a Castlevania. So this one's in the Metroidvania style, where you explore around, find new abilities and powers, and that helps you explore more and more of the map. The main gimmick to this one is, as you go, you can find magic cards. If you combine 2 of them, an action card and an attribute card, you get a special effect. For example, combining Mercury and Salamander, that gives you a Fire Whip. So naturally, collector that I am, the main goal of the LP would be to find all of the magic cards and show what they all do. It's actually been a while since I've played a game of this style, even just for my own personal fun, but I do really enjoy this style of game. So hey, if you're up for some vampire hunting, Yu-Gi-Oh action, vote for Castlevania Circle of the Moon. Next up we have VVVVVV, a sort of exploratory adventure platformer by Terry Kavanagh. There were a lot of requests for this one due to a couple of Magmammal 2 stages referencing it. The main gimmick of VVVVVV is that you can flip your gravity at will to help get through the various rooms. As you go, you have to watch out for enemies and spikes, and be on the lookout for your missing crewmates and the always tempting shiny trinkets. There are a number of them in the game, and so of course my main goal during the LP would be to find them all. Gotta have the shinies after all. This game might have a bit of a high death count though. Some areas of the game are very tricky to get through. The phrase Vini Vidi Vici comes to mind. Yeah, that might be a bit of a thing. But the game overall is very charming and fun, very colorful and with a very catchy soundtrack that I enjoy. So, if you're up for some exploration, catchy chiptune music, and deadly spikes, vote for VVVVVV. Third up on the menu we have Cuphead, sort of a platformer shoot-'em-up centered heavily around super stylish boss fights. Made by Studio MDHR, Cuphead features hand-drawn graphics that harken back to the early days of cartoon animation. As you go through the game, you get different shot types and abilities to help you out. Upon completing a stage or a boss fight, you're given an end rank for how well you did, taking in factors like time taken, how many times you were hit, how many shots you parried, that sort of thing. I haven't actually fully played through the entire game myself, basically just the first boss fight, but I have seen full LPs here and there. I'd likely be trying for an A+ rank on all the boss fights, which would require some learning, but it does seem completely doable. I'm also just saying, this is the game that finally got me to buy a controller for my PC because, yeah, doing this with a keyboard, that was a little bit tricky for me. So if you're up for some animated action and you're ready to wallop, then vote for Cuphead. next we have Star Tropics for the NES, a Nintendo first-party franchise that never saw any attention past the NES, or any Japanese release outside of, maybe, Virtual Console? Star Tropics is sort of a mixed bag, with overworld RPG elements and underground dungeon exploration and fighting. As Mike Jones, your goal is to find answers as to the disappearance of your uncle. In the overworld, you explore various islands and towns, talking to locals to learn about the area and find your way around. Within the dungeons, you have to fight with your weapon of choice, a yo-yo, plus a number of sub-weapons that you'll find along the way to help deal with the enemies and bosses. This is a game that I rented a lot as a kid from the local video rental, which, due to early forms of copy protection, that was kind of its own thing. Yeah. This was a really fun game though, and I enjoyed it. So, if you're ready to follow the Southern Cross, vote for Star Tropics. Choice number 5 is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link for the NES. Nintendo's direct sequel to the original Legend of Zelda, this one is a bit of a departure as far as the battle system is concerned. Unlike the overhead battle system of the original game, this one's a side-scroller with RPG and platforming elements. As you fight the monsters in this game, you actually gain experience, allowing you to level up your life, magic, and attack power. The game features pretty standard Zelda dungeon exploration and item gathering, but the side-scrolling nature does give it a fairly unique flavor. It's not something that you see a lot in the series, though I do guess it was done in some of the games like Link's Awakening and I think some of the Four Swords games. This would likely just be a casual LP. I'm not crazy enough to attempt a no damage run, and I'm not sure there's really that much you can leave out for something like a minimalist run. So, if you're up for a strange but still satisfying journey through Hyrule, vote for Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Next up for your consideration is Secret of Evermore, an action RPG for the Super Nintendo by Squaresoft. This game has a lot of design elements in common with Secret of Mana, though it is not actually part of the Mana series. This one has a bit more of an American flavor to it overall. There are definite mechanics shared though. For example, you have an AI-controlled partner that you can switch to control them yourself. In this case, a dog. You also still have the ring menu system. One of the mechanics in this one I really liked. You don't have a normal magic system with a single pool of MP. This time, you have alchemy formulas, which draw from a pool of reagents you find in the field. I just always thought that was a really neat system. This is one of those that I played a lot when I was younger, and I'd quite enjoy playing through it again. If you enjoyed the Secret of Mana series, then you might like this one too. So if you're interested in the journey of a movie-loving boy and his dog, vote for Secret of Evermore. For number 7, it's a trip back to Kanto for Pokemon Yellow, the extra third game from the first generation of Pokemon. Back when I did the Emerald No Evolutions run, I had people ask if I'd consider doing that for first and second gen as well. I didn't really have as much reason to since I'd already trained everything from those generations, but lately I've kind of been in the mood to play through one of the old games just for fun. So, like the Emerald run, this would be a No Evolutions run. I put all of the unevolved breeds available in Yellow into a list randomizer, and then took the top 20 as my allowed Pokemon for the run. I also wanted to experiment with some stat tracking on the sidebar just for fun on this one. It took some work to figure out a way to do what I wanted, but I'm rather happy with the results, even if the process ended up being kinda dumb. But if you'd like to see some small monster friends become the champions of Kanto, vote for Pokemon Yellow No Evolutions. Last but not least on the list, we have The Adventures of Lolo, an action puzzle game for the NES by HAL. These games are actually the origins of the characters Lolo and Lalala from the Kirby series, though here they're just one syllable shorter, just Lolo and Lala. The object of the game is to gather all the heart framers in each room. This opens up the chest and allows you to take the jewel inside, thus clearing the room. The puzzles start out pretty simple, but the further in you go, the more complicated and dangerous they become, introducing new enemies and elements that you have to figure out. This is one of those games where I have a lot of nostalgia going for it. Growing up, I played these games a lot with my mum and my aunt. we took turns trying to solve all the different rooms. So it's one of those, it'd be nice to play through this again and just kind of relive all those memories. So, if you're up for some puzzle-solving action and you'd like to see the heroic adventures of a later Kirby enemy, then vote for The Adventures of Lolo. And so there you have it, 8 projects up for your voting pleasure. At the time of this video being uploaded, the poll will officially be open on my main site at dragonsoftstudio.com. There'll be a link in the video description. This poll will run for 1 week, during which time I'll be researching capture cards and decompressing a bit. After the week's up, we'll tally up the votes and see what comes out ahead. Like I said, I have my personal guess as to what will win, but I'll be interested to see if I end up being right on that or not. I'd like to give a quick shout out to my good friend Mio for providing this lovely stage select screen. Very awesome. With that though, go check out the poll, make your choice, and I'll see you again next time with the results. Until then, fare thee well.